Colored by You by Queenie Eanaj. What your color says about your life, love, money, and the parts you hide. You didn't choose your favorite color by accident. It wasn't random. It wasn't just pretty. It wasn't something you picked once and forgot about. It stayed. It followed you into your choices, into your habits, into the quiet ways you respond to life when no one is watching. Somewhere along the way, without needing language for it, you saw a color and recognized yourself. Not the version of you people meet first, not the version you perform when the world is looking. The real version. The one that reacts before thinking. The one that loves in patterns. The one that spins, protects, shuts down, or overextends without asking permission. This book is not here to tell you who you are. It is here to show you what you've been repeating. Because your favorite color doesn't just exist in what you wear or what you're drawn to. It exists in how you love when you feel safe, how you argue when you feel disrespected, how you move with money when you feel uncertain, how you hold on or let go or pretend you don't care at all. It shows up in your silence. It shows up in your reactions. It shows up in the version of you that only appears when something inside you is either opening or breaking. Some colors are loud. They demand to be seen. Some are quiet. They observe, absorb, and wait. Some build, some protect, some hide, some heal. And most people believe they are only one color. They are not. You are layered. You have a color that leads your life, a color that shapes your relationships, and a color that takes over when things fall apart. That last one is usually the one you don't talk about, but it is the one that explains everything. If you have ever asked yourself, why do I love like this? Why do I react like this? Why do I push people away, then miss them when they leave? Why do I stay in things that don't grow or chase things that don't stay? Your colors already hold the answer. This book will walk you through them, not gently, but honestly. You may feel understood. You may feel exposed. You may see yourself in ways you were not ready to name. That is not a mistake. That is recognition. Because once you can see your patterns clearly, you are no longer trapped inside them without choice. So before you turn the page, pause. Think about your favorite color, the one you always return to without explanation. Hold it there for a moment and ask yourself, quietly and truthfully, did you choose it, or has it been choosing you this entire time? Turn the page. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Black does not introduce itself. It arrives, not loudly, not with performance, not with the need to be understood. Black enters a space the way a shadow settles into a corner, already there before anyone notices it. Black is not empty. It is full of what it has seen, full of what it has held, full of what it refuses to spill. People misunderstand black. They think it represents darkness, negativity, absence. But black is not absence. Black is containment. It is what happens when something has learned that not everything deserves access. If black is your color, you are not easy to read. And that is not by accident. You learned, somewhere along the way, that everything does not need to be explained. That vulnerability is not always safe. That being seen too clearly can sometimes come at a cost. So you became selective, not fake, not closed, just intentional. You do not open because someone asks. You open when something feels earned. And until then, you observe. You notice everything. Energy shifts, tone changes, the things people say and the things they avoid saying. You collect information quietly, the way some people collect attention, because for you, awareness is protection. The light in black at your best, you are grounding. You are the person people come to when everything feels like it's falling apart. You don't panic easily. You don't overreact. You hold space without needing to fill it with noise. You make people feel contained, safe in a way they don't always understand. You don't force emotions out of people. You let them arrive. And because of that, people trust you with things they don't trust others with. You don't just listen. You hold. The shadow in black. But what you hold, you don't always release. Black can become isolation dressed as strength. You can convince yourself that you are fine handling everything alone, that needing people makes you vulnerable. That silence is safer than expression. So instead of saying what you feel, you store it. Instead of asking for support, you withdraw. Instead of being misunderstood, you choose not to be known at all. And over time, that weight builds, not visibly, not loudly, but internally. Black doesn't break down in front of people. It breaks quietly, in private, where no one can see the cracks forming. Black in love, you do not love casually, you love carefully. You study people before you allow yourself to feel deeply. You watch how they move, how they respond, how they handle pressure. Trust, for you, is not given. It is built slowly, piece by piece. But once you choose someone, you are loyal in a way that is difficult to replace. You protect the relationship. You protect the person. Sometimes, even from yourself. But love is also where your fear shows up. Because the more you care, the more you have to lose. And when that fear gets too loud, you may pull back, become distant, quiet, hard to reach, not because you don't feel, but because you feel too much and don't always know where to put it. Black compatibility, the three that meet you where you are. Black plus blue. Blue understands silence. It doesn't rush you or force you to explain what you're not ready to say. With blue, you feel emotionally seen without being exposed. This pairing builds slowly, but it builds deep. Black plus pink. Pink softens you without trying to change you. It creates a space where you can let your guard down without feeling weak for doing it. You protect pink. Pink opens you. This connection can feel like healing in real time. Black plus gold. Gold sees your value. Even when you hide it, it pulls you out of the shadows and reminds you that you don't have to stay guarded to be respected. You ground gold. Gold elevates you. Together, you can build something powerful if ego doesn't replace vulnerability. Black and money. With money, you are strategic. You think about security, stability, control. You are not easily impressed by flashy spending. You would rather feel protected than look successful. But when black is unbalanced, money can become another form of emotional control. You may hold too tightly, fear loss before it even happens, struggle to enjoy what you've built because you are always preparing for what could go wrong. When black is hurt, black does not explode. It disappears. You shut down access. You become distant. You retreat into yourself and close the door behind you. People may not even realize they've lost you until it's already happened because you don't always announce your pain. You absorb it, and then you move differently. The growth of black. Black is powerful when it learns this. You do not have to carry everything alone to be strong. There is strength in expression. There is safety in the right people. There is release in being seen, even if it feels unfamiliar. You don't have to give everyone access, but you do have to give someone access. Because healing does not happen in isolation, even for you. If black is your color, you are not cold. You are careful. You are not distant. You are discerning, and you are not empty. You are full of everything you have chosen to hold. The question is, what are you ready to finally put down? Chapter 2. Blue don't rush nothing. It sit with it. It think on it. Feel on it. Go back over it again just to make sure it ain't missed nothing the first time. While everybody else moving on, Blue's still trying to understand what just happened and why it felt the way it did. Blue is depth, not loud, not dramatic for no reason, just deep. The kind of deep that don't always show on the surface, but it's always moving underneath. If blue is your color, you feel everything, even the stuff you don't say. And a lot of times, you don't say it. Not because you don't want to, but because it's hard to explain something you still trying to understand yourself. So you go inward. You think, you replay, you analyze tone, energy, little changes most folks overlook. You don't just hear what people say, you hear what they mean, sometimes what they don't say at all. The light in blue. At your best, you peaceful, not boring, not quiet in a small way, peaceful in a way that settles a whole room. You bring calm where things feel messy. You don't make situations bigger than they are. You help people slow down enough to actually feel what's going on. Folks feel understood around you, not judged, not rushed, understood. You listen different. You care different. You don't force people to open. You just make it safe enough that they want to. And that kind of energy, you can't fake that. The shadow in blue, but feeling everything can get heavy. Blue can get stuck inside its own head. You overthink. You replay conversations. You question yourself even when you ain't the one who did something wrong. Instead of saying how you feel, you sit with it. Instead of addressing it, you try to understand it first. And sometimes that turns into silence. People think you good and you not, but you ain't say nothing. So now you carrying feelings nobody even know exist. And after a while, that weight start turning into distance. Not loud distance, quiet distance. Blue in love, you love deep, not fast, not careless. But when you love somebody, you feel them. You notice everything. How their voice sound when they tired, how they act when something bothering them, how they shift when something ain't right. You don't need big gestures. You need emotional connection, real connection. But you also need safety. If you don't feel safe, you pull back. You stop sharing, stop opening, start keeping things to yourself again. And the person you with might not even catch it right away, because your changes ain't loud, they subtle, they big. Blue compatibility, the three that reach you, blue plus yellow. Yellow bring light into your world. It help you laugh, loosen up, stop carrying everything so heavy. You ground yellow, help it slow down and actually feel what it be trying to skip over. This can feel balanced, unless yellow don't want to go deep when you need it to. Blue plus pink, pink makes you feel safe. Like you don't gotta overthink being loved. You protect pink's softness, and pink helps you open up without fear. This can feel like home, long as y'all don't avoid hard conversations just to keep the peace. Blue plus black, black understands your silence. It don't pressure you to explain yourself. You feel seen without being exposed. But both of y'all can get too quiet, too deep, and not say what really need to be said. Blue and money. You careful with money. You think before you move. You don't like making decisions that feel uncertain or rushed, but sometimes you think too long. You wait for the right time, the right plan, the right feeling. And by the time you're ready, the opportunity might have already passed. It ain't that you can't build. It's that you don't like moving without feeling sure first. When blue is hurt, you don't always show it. You go inward. You replay everything. Try to understand what went wrong, what changed, what you might have missed. Sometimes you take on more blame than you should, not because it's yours, but because you're trying to make sense of it. And instead of expressing that hurt, you just get quiet, the growth of blue. You get stronger when you realize this. You don't have to understand everything before you speak on it. You allowed to say, this hurt, even if you can't fully explain why yet. You don't need perfect words, you just need honesty. If blue is your color, you ain't distant, you deep. You ain't quiet cause you got nothing to say. You quiet cause you still feeling it. And you ain't hard to love. You just need to feel safe enough to stay open while you being loved. Chapter 3, Brown, brown, don't try to shine. It stand, solid, quiet, unmoved by all the extra. While other colors trying to be seen, brown making sure things don't fall apart. Brown is what holds stuff together. If brown is your color, you the type that learned early how to handle life as it come. Not ideal situations, not perfect conditions, real life. You don't wait for things to be easy, you adjust, you figure it out. You make something work even when it wasn't set up right to begin with. Psychologically, brown moves from survival and stability. You wired to think about what's necessary, what's realistic, what's gonna last. You don't move off hype, you move off what makes sense. The light in brown. At your best, you dependable. You the one people call when things get real. Not when it's fun, not when it's light, but when it matters. You show up. You don't disappear when stuff get hard. You don't make excuses. You stay, you fix what you can, and you handle what need handling. People trust you without even thinking about it, because you consistent. You not up one day and gone the next. You steady. And in a world full of temporary energy, that means something. The shadow in brown. But being steady can turn into staying stuck. Brown can get so used to surviving that it forget how to want more. You might settle for what works instead of what actually fulfills you. Stay in situations because they familiar. Manage things instead of changing them. You tell yourself, at least it ain't worse. But deep down, you know it ain't better either. You lower your expectations just to keep things stable. Not because you weak, but because you tired of things falling apart. Brown in love. You love through action. Not just words, not just feelings. You show love by being there, by helping, by supporting, by staying when things not perfect. You're not into games. You want something real, something solid, something that can actually last. But sometimes you give more than you say, you carry more than you admit, and instead of speaking up when something ain't right, you adjust, you make it work, even when it shouldn't be your job to. And over time, that can wear you down. Brown compatibility. The three that ground you, brown's green. Green bring growth into your stability. It show you it's more than just surviving. You can actually build something bigger. You keep green realistic. Green push you forward. Together, y'all create something steady and growing. Brown plus blue help you feel, not just function. It brings emotional depth into your practical world. You help blue stay grounded when feelings get overwhelming. This balance can feel safe, long as both of y'all communicate. Brown's black. Black understands you without a lot of talking. Both of y'all value privacy, loyalty, and realness. You hold things down. Black protects what's built. But if y'all not careful, things can go unspoken too long. Brown and money. You serious about money, not flashy, not careless. You think about bills, stability, making sure things covered. You not trying to look rich, you trying to be secure. But sometimes, you play it too safe. You focus so much on not losing what you got, you don't always take chances to grow it. You protect the foundation, but forget to expand it. When brown is hurt, you don't fall apart loud. You tighten up. You go into handle it mode. You keep going, keep working, keep pushing like nothing wrong. Even when everything inside you tired. You don't always give yourself space to feel it. You just carry it. The growth of brown, you grow when you realize this. You don't have to just survive life. You allowed to enjoy it. You allowed to want more than it's okay. Stability is your strength, but it ain't supposed to be your ceiling. If brown is your color, you ain't basic, you solid. You ain't stuck, you steady. And you ain't meant to just hold things together for everybody else. You meant to build something for yourself too. Chapter 4. Gold don't just want more. Gold want better. Not louder for no reason. Not flashy just to be seen. But there's something about gold that say, this got value. Even when it ain't saying a word. Gold is about worth. Not just money, not just status, but how something feels when it's aligned, elevated, chosen on purpose. If gold is your color, you don't just move through life, you measure it. You look at what you're giving, what you're getting, what it's turning into over time. Psychologically, gold runs on reward and recognition systems. You wired to respond to progress, achievement, growth you can see and feel. You don't just want to exist, you want to become. The light in gold. At your best, you elevate everything around you. You don't settle easy. You push for better environments, better habits, better outcomes. You see potential and you act on it. You got vision. Not just dreaming, but direction. You know how to take something from where it is and move it somewhere higher. People around you feel that. You make folks want to level up without even saying it out loud. And the way you carry yourself, it reflects standards, not arrogance. Standards. The shadow in gold. But chasing better can turn into never feeling like enough. Gold can get caught up in always needing to improve, always needing to achieve, always needing to prove something. You might tie your worth to what you're doing instead of who you are. So when things slow down, you feel off. When you're not progressing fast enough, you start questioning yourself. Not because you're lacking, but because you used to measuring everything. And that pressure, it don't always come from outside. A lot of times, it comes from you. Golden love. You don't do random love. You want intention. You pay attention to how somebody show up, what they bring, what direction they moving in. You're not just looking for feelings, you looking for alignment. You want something that builds, something that adds to your life, not drains it. But sometimes you can have your guard up in a different way. Not like black, quiet and closed, but like, do they match me? And if somebody don't meet your standards right away, you might distance yourself before giving it space to grow. On the flip side, you also gotta be careful not to overperform in love. Doing more, giving more, proving more, trying to earn something that should be mutual. Gold compatibility. The three that build with you, gold plus black, black ground you. Keep you from getting too caught up in image or pressure. You pull black out, reminded of its worth, push it to step forward. Together, y'all powerful, but only if you stay real and not prideful. Gold plus purple. Purple bring meaning to your ambition. It reminds you it's not just about winning, it's about why you doing it. You help purple turn ideas into real life results. This pairing can feel deep and rare, long as y'all stay connected emotionally. Gold plus green green match your growth energy. It's about building, investing, expanding. You elevate the vision. Green makes sure it's sustainable. Together, this is money, progress, and long-term success. If it don't turn into pressure. Gold and money matters to you, but not just having it. You think about what it represents. Security, options, lifestyle, growth. You don't just spend, you evaluate. But when things off balance, money can start to feel like identity. Like if you're not moving forward financially, you're not doing enough. And that can keep you in a constant cycle of chasing instead of appreciating. When gold is hurt, you don't always show pain. You show pressure. You push harder, work more, focus more. Try to fix the feeling through progress. But underneath all that movement, you might just be trying to feel valued again. The growth of gold. You grow when you realize this. Your worth ain't something you gotta keep proving. It's something you already carry. You allowed to rest in what you've built. You don't have to constantly chase next to be enough. If gold is your color, you ain't materialistic. You intentional. You ain't doing too much. You driven, and you not chasing worth. You learning how to recognize that it's already yours. Chapter 5. Gray gray, don't rush to pick a side. It sit right in the middle, watching both. While everybody else quick to say, this right or that wrong, gray like, hold on, it might be more to it. It don't jump, it don't react fast, it think first, then think again. If gray is your color, you the type like to understand everything before you move. Not just what happened, but why it happened, how it happened, and what could happen next. Psychologically, gray deals with cognitive processing and uncertainty tolerance. You don't like making decisions without clarity. You want to feel sure. And if you don't feel sure, you wait. The light in gray. At your best, you balanced. You don't let emotions take over too fast. You don't let one perspective control how you see things. You able to step back and really look at a situation from all angles that make you wise in a quiet way. You don't overreact. You don't jump to conclusions. You give people space to be human. And because of that, people can talk to you without feeling judged. You see layers. And in a world where people quick to label everything, that's rare. The shadow in gray. But thinking too much can turn into not moving at all. Gray can get stuck. You might sit on decisions too long. Go back and forth in your head until you confuse yourself. You wait for clarity that never fully come, not because you don't know, but because you don't feel certain. And life, it don't always give certainty. So while you're trying to figure it out, time keep going. Opportunities pass. Conversations go unsaid. Choices get made for you just because you didn't make one. And that's where gray can feel stuck without meaning to be. Gray in love. You don't just fall in love, you evaluate it. You watch how somebody act. You listen to what they say. You pay attention to patterns before you fully open up. You're not trying to get hurt, so you move careful. But sometimes, too careful. You might care about somebody and still not fully step into it. You halfway in, halfway observing, trying to make sure it's right before you give it all. And the person you with, they might feel that distance, not because you don't care, but because you still deciding how safe it is. Gray compatibility. The three that move you gray plus blue help you feel more instead of just think. It bring emotion into your logic. You help blue slow down and not get lost in feelings. Together, y'all can understand each other deeply, but might overthink everything if nobody take action. Gray plus black. Black gives you structure and emotional protection. It don't force you to move fast. Y'all both private, both observant. But if neither one opens up, things can stay unspoken too long. Gray plus gold. Gold pushes you to move, to decide, to stop sitting in the middle. You help gold slow down and think things through. This can create growth or pressure, depending on how it's handled. Gray and money. You don't move fast with money. You think, compare, analyze. You want to make the right decision, but sometimes you wait too long. You miss chances because you're still trying to be sure. It ain't that you bad with money. You just don't like uncertainty. When gray is hurt, you don't react quick. You pause. You step back and try to understand what just happened before you show how you feel. But sometimes that pause turns into distance. You detach a little, not fully gone, but not fully present either. The growth of gray. You grow when you realize this. You don't need perfect clarity to make a move. Some answers only come after you choose. You allowed to be unsure and still go forward. If gray is your color, you ain't indecisive, you thoughtful, you ain't detached, you careful, and you not stuck. You just learning that life don't always wait for you to feel ready. Chapter 6. Green don't pop up overnight. It grow, slow, steady, real quiet at first. Then one day you look around and realize everything done changed. Green ain't about quick wins. It's about what lasts. If green is your color, you the type that think long-term without even trying. You don't just look at what something is, you look at what it could become if it's handled right. Psychologically, green is tied to growth systems, delayed gratification, and future-based thinking. You wired to build, invest, and expand over time. You don't just want something that works today. You want something that's still standing later. The light in green. At your best, you build. You see potential where other people see limits. You don't get discouraged easy because you understand that growth takes time. You patient in a way most people not. You don't mind starting small if it means ending up solid. People come to you when they want to figure out how to get somewhere, not just emotionally, but financially, mentally, in life overall. You don't just talk about change, you create it. The shadow in green. But growth can turn into pressure. Green can start to feel like it always gotta be improving something, always fixing, always building, always trying to get to the next level. And when things slow down, you feel off, like you falling behind, even when you're not. You might struggle to just be where you are, because your mind already thinking about what's next. And sometimes, that make it hard to enjoy what you already built. Green in love. You don't just love people, you invest in them. You think about long term. You look at consistency. You care about whether something can grow into something real. You're not big on temporary connections. You want something that develop over time. But sometimes, you stay too long. You see potential in people and hold on to what they could be instead of what they're showing you right now. You patient. But patience can turn into waiting on something that ain't coming. Green compatibility. The three that grow with you. Green plus gold. Gold bring ambition and visibility to what you're building. You make sure it's sustainable. Gold makes sure it reaches higher. Together, y'all can create real success as long as it don't turn into pressure. Green, brown, brown gives you stability and realism. It keeps your ideas grounded. You help brown move out of survival mode and into growth. This is slow, steady, long-term building. Green plus blue. Blue brings emotional awareness to your practical mindset. You help blue turn feelings into action. Together, y'all grow emotionally and practically, but can move slow if nobody push. Green and money. Money makes sense to you. You think about saving, investing, building something over time. You're not just trying to spend, you're trying to multiply. But sometimes, you get so focused on growing money, you forget to enjoy it. You always thinking about the next move, the next step, the next level. When green is hurt, you don't fall apart. You try to fix it. You put more effort in. You try to improve the situation. You think, what can I do to make this better? But when nothing changes, that's when frustration builds, because you used to effort leading to results. The growth of green. You grow when you realize this. Everything don't need to be improved right now. Some things just need to be appreciated. Rest is part of growth. Stillness is part of progress. If green is your color, you ain't slow, you strategic, you ain't behind, you building, and you're not meant to always chase the next level. Sometimes you're supposed to stand in what you already created. Chapter 7, Orange. Orange don't sit still, it move. It laugh loud, talk fast, jump in before the whole plan even laid out. While other colors thinking it through, orange already halfway in it, figuring it out as it go. Orange is energy, not fake, not forced, just alive. If orange is your color, you the type that feel things quick and act on it just as fast. You like movement, excitement, something to keep life from feeling stuck or boring. Psychologically, orange is tied to dopamine response and sensation-seeking behavior. You wired to chase experiences, stimulation, connection, and moments that make you feel something right now. You don't like waiting. You like living. The light in orange. At your best, you bring life to everything. You make people laugh. You make situations feel lighter. You can walk into a room and shift the whole mood without even trying. You're not scared to try things, not scared to speak up, not scared to be seen. That kind of confidence, it's contagious. People feel good around you, free, less restricted, like they can loosen up and be themselves. You remind folks that life ain't just about surviving, it's about enjoying it too. The shadow in orange. But moving fast can lead to moving careless. Orange can act before thinking, speak before processing, jump into things without fully understanding what come with it. You might chase feelings instead of stability. Go where it's fun instead of where it's healthy. And when things slow down, you get restless, bored, like something missing, So you look for something new to fill that space instead of sitting with it. Orange in love. You love fast, not always deep right away, but intense. You like connection, attention, fun, chemistry. You want to feel something when you're with somebody. You bring excitement into relationships. You keep things from getting dull. But sometimes you can struggle with consistency. Not because you don't care, but because once things get routine, you start feeling disconnected. You need stimulation in love, not chaos, but energy. And if that energy not there, you might start looking for it somewhere else, emotionally or mentally. Orange compatibility, the three that keep up with you. Orange, yellow. Yellow matches your energy. Y'all laugh, joke, keep things light and fun. Together, it feel good. But if nobody go deeper, it can stay surface level. Orange plus red. Red brings intensity to your excitement. Passion, energy, strong connection. But both of y'all reactive, so things can go from good to heated real quick. Orange plus purple. Purple slows you down just enough to give your energy meaning. You help purple come out its head and live more. This can feel exciting and deep if you don't get impatient. Orange and money. You're not always thinking long-term with money. You think about now, experiences, enjoyment, feeling good in the moment. You might spend on things that bring excitement instead of stability. But that don't mean you can't build. You just gotta learn balance, fun, and structure. When oranges hurt, you don't always sit in pain. You distract yourself. You go out, stay busy, laugh it off, act like it ain't bothering you. But underneath all that movement, it's still there. You just don't like sitting still long enough to feel it. The growth of orange. You grow when you realize this. Everything don't have to be exciting to be real. Stillness ain't boring. Sometimes it's necessary. You don't lose yourself by slowing down. You understand yourself better. If orange is your color, you ain't too much. You alive. You ain't irresponsible. You expressive, and you not meant to dim your light. You just meant to learn when to pause it so it don't burn you out. Chapter 8, Pink. Pink, don't play about love. It feel it, it show it, it hold on to it a little tighter than most. While other colors trying to act cool, act distant, act like they don't care, pink care. And it don't always try to hide it either. Pink is connection, real connection. If pink is your color, you the type that values closeness, affection, emotional safety. You don't just want to be around people, you want to feel them, feel seen, feel chosen. Psychologically, pink aligns with attachment systems, especially anxious attachment patterns. You highly aware of emotional shifts, closeness, distance, and how people respond to you. Love ain't just something you experience, it's something you live in. The light in pink, at your best, you loving, warm, open, giving in a way that make people feel safe to be themselves. You don't hold back affection. You don't make people guess how you feel. You show up emotionally and you show up real. People feel cared for around you, not surface level cared for, deep cared for. You notice when something off. You check in, you give attention in ways that make people feel important. And that kind of love, it's powerful. The shadow in pink, but loving deep can turn into losing yourself. Pink can give too much, care too much, stay too long. You might ignore your own needs just to keep somebody close. Overextend yourself trying to make sure everything okay. And when you feel distance, it hit you hard. You might overthink it, question it, try to fix it even when it ain't yours to fix. Not because you weak, but because connection matter that much to you. Pink in love, you love fully. You not halfway with it. You want closeness, consistency, reassurance. You want to feel like somebody really there with you, not just physically, but emotionally too. You don't like guessing. You like clarity. But sometimes that need for connection can turn into anxiety. You might look for signs, read into things, feel shifts before they even confirmed. And if you don't feel secure, You might try harder, give more, hold tighter, even when the other person ain't meeting you the same way. Pink compatibility, the three that hold you right. Pink plus blue, blue understands your emotions. It don't dismiss how you feel. You bring warmth to blue, and blue gives you depth and understanding. This can feel like emotional safety, long as y'all communicate clearly. Pink plus black, black protects you, grounds you, makes you feel secure without a lot of talking. You soften black, help it open up. This can feel strong and safe, unless black shuts down too much. Pink, yellow. Yellow keeps you from getting too heavy. It brings lightness into your emotional world. You give yellow depth. Yellow gives you joy. Together, y'all balance each other. If yellow don't avoid real feelings, pink and money. You don't always make decisions off logic. You move off feeling. You might spend on people, on experiences, on things that bring emotional comfort. You generous, but sometimes too generous. You might give more than you should, especially for people you care about. When pink is hurt, you feel it deep. You don't ignore it. You don't brush it off. You sit in it, question it, try to understand what went wrong. And sometimes you blame yourself when it ain't even your fault, because you're trying to figure out how to fix it. The growth of pink. You grow when you realize this. You don't have to overgive to be loved. You don't have to prove your worth through how much you care. The right people will meet you, not just receive you. If pink is your color, you ain't too emotional. You aware. You ain't needy. You connected. And you not asking for too much. You just asking for the right things from the right people. Chapter 9. Purple, purple don't follow the crowd. It stepped to the side and asked, but what does this mean though? While everybody else moving through life, purple trying to understand it. Not just what's happening, but why it matter, how it connects, what it say about who you are. Purple is depth with purpose. If purple is your color, you're not just living, you're reflecting while you live. You got an inner world that stay active, always searching for meaning, identity, something deeper than surface level reality. Psychologically, purple is tied to identity formation, introspection, and high openness. You process life through meaning, not just experience. You don't just want to exist, you want to understand yourself while you here. The light in purple. At your best, you insightful. You see things other people miss. Patterns, emotions, deeper connections. You don't just react, you interpret. You got a sense of individuality that don't depend on outside approval. You think for yourself, move in your own way. People might not always understand you right away, but they feel your depth. You bring perspective into spaces that would otherwise stay shallow. And that's powerful. The shadow in purple. But going deep can turn into getting lost. Purple can overthink meaning to the point where it disconnects from reality. You might stay in your head too long, trying to figure everything out instead of just living it. You question yourself, your path, your identity. You might feel misunderstood, even when nobody actually against you. And sometimes you isolate, not because you don't want people, but because you feel like nobody really gets you. Purple in love. You don't want basic love. You want connection with meaning. You want to feel like somebody understands you, not just like you. You look for depth, conversation, emotional and mental alignment. But sometimes your expectations can be high, not unrealistic, but specific. You want to feel seen in a way most people don't even know how to offer right away. And if you don't feel that, you might pull back. Not because you don't care, but because it don't feel aligned. Purple compatibility, the three that understand you. Purple plus gold. Gold helps you bring your ideas into real life. It adds direction to your depth. You give gold meaning beyond success. Together, y'all can build something powerful and intentional. Purple plus orange. Orange pulls you out your head and into the moment. It helps you live instead of just think. You give orange depth and perspective. This pairing can feel exciting and meaningful if you don't get overwhelmed by the pace. Purple plus blue. Blue understands your depth emotionally. You both feel and think on a deeper level. This can feel like being truly seen, but y'all might stay in your heads too much if nobody grounds it. Purple and money. Money ain't always your main focus. You think more about purpose than profit. You want what you do to mean something. But sometimes that can slow you down financially. Not because you can't build, but because you don't want to build something that don't align with who you are. When purple is hurt, you don't always react outwardly. You go inward. You analyze what happened, what it meant, what it say about you, about them, about everything. And sometimes you sit in that space too long, trying to make sense of something that just needed to be felt. The growth of purple. You grow when you realize this. Not everything needs a deeper meaning to be valid. Some things just are. You allowed to live without analyzing every moment. Balance comes when you feel and experience. If purple is your color, you ain't complicated. You layered. You ain't hard to understand. You just not surface level. And you're not meant to shrink your depth for people who don't get it. You meant to find spaces where it's appreciated. Chapter 10, red, don't hesitate. It react. It feel something and move on it right then and there. No long pause, no deep analysis, just action. Red is intensity. Not fake loud, not attention seeking for no reason, just strong. If red is your color, you the type that don't sit on emotions. You respond, you speak, you stand on what you feel in the moment. Psychologically, red is tied to the fight response. Fast emotional activation, high sensitivity to disrespect, strong reaction when something feels off. You don't ignore problems, you confront them. The light in red, at your best, you powerful. You stand up for yourself. You don't let things slide that shouldn't. You protect your space, your people, your peace. You got courage, the kind that don't wait for permission. People know where they stand with you. You not fake, you not passive, you real. And in situations where others stay quiet, you speak. That kind of energy, it can protect more than just you. The shadow in red, but reacting fast can turn into reacting too fast. Red can feel something and move on it before thinking it through. You might say things you didn't mean fully. React bigger than the situation needed. Turn something small into something heavy. Not because you're dramatic, but because your emotions hit quick and strong. And once it's out, it's out. Red in love. You love intense. You not casual with it. When you care strong. You protective, passionate, present. You don't play about who you love, but you also don't play about disrespect. If something feels off, you address it immediately. And sometimes that intensity can feel like pressure to the other person. You need to feel respected, valued, and secure. And if you don't, you react. Not always calmly, but honestly. Red compatibility. The three that balance you. Red plus orange. Orange matches your energy. Y'all have fun, passion, excitement. But both of y'all reactive, so things can escalate quick if it go left. Red plus black. Black grounds your intensity. It don't react as fast, which can calm you down. You help black speak up more. This pairing can be strong if you don't feel like black is too distant. Red's white. White brings control and structure to your reactions. It slows things down. You help white loosen up and feel more. Together, this can create balance, or tension if control clashes with emotion. Red and money. You don't always think long before spending. You move off impulse sometimes. If it feels right in the moment, you might go for it. But that same energy, it can also help you take risks others scared to take. You just gotta learn when to pause. When red is hurt, you don't hide it, you show it. You might get loud, direct, emotional. You don't sit in silence, you express. But once it's out, You usually calm down quicker than people expect. It's fast up the growth of red. You grow when you realize this. Not every feeling need an immediate reaction. You can feel something and still pause. That pause don't make you weak. It make you in control. If red is your color, you ain't aggressive. You expressive. You ain't too much. You intense. And you're not wrong for feeling things strong. You just learning how to direct it instead of letting it control you. Chapter 11, White don't like chaos. It like things clean, clear, in order, while everything else moving fast and messy. White trying to line it up, smooth it out, make sure it makes sense before it moves forward. White is control, not in a loud way, in a quiet, this needs to be right kind of way. If white is your color, you the type that pays attention to details. You notice what's off. You feel uncomfortable when things don't feel organized, emotionally or physically. Psychologically, white is tied to control systems, perfection tendencies, and structured thinking. You regulate your environment to regulate how you feel. If things around you make sense, you feel better inside. The light in white. At your best, you precise. You bring order to situations that would otherwise be all over the place. You think things through, plan ahead, and make sure things are done right. You reliable. People can count on you to handle things carefully, not carelessly. You don't rush just to finish. You take your time to make sure it's correct. And that level of intention, it builds trust. The shadow in white. But control can turn into pressure. White can get stuck in perfection. You might overthink small details, stress over things not being exactly how you want them, feel uneasy when things don't go according to plan. You might hold yourself to standards that hard to meet all the time. And when things not right, it bother you more than it probably should. Not because you picky, but because control make you feel safe. White in love. You don't love messy. You like clarity, consistency, structure. You want to know where you stand, what it is, how it's going. You don't like guessing games or confusion. But sometimes, that need for things to be right can create pressure. You might expect things to move a certain way, respond a certain way, feel a certain way. And when it don't, you get uncomfortable. You don't always express it emotionally. You try to fix it. White compatibility, the three that steady you. White plus blue brings emotional depth into your structured world. You help blue stay grounded and clear. This can feel balanced if you don't over-control and blue don't overfeel. White plus red brings emotion and energy. You bring control and structure. Y'all balance each other, but can clash if neither adjusts. White plus green aligns with your need for order and growth. You structure the vision. Green builds it over time. Together, this is stable and productive. White and money. You careful with money. You plan, organize, think things through. You don't like financial chaos. You want structure, stability, predictability. But sometimes, you overthink decisions, trying to make the perfect move instead of just a good one. When white is hurt, you don't always show emotion. You tighten control. You try to fix the situation, analyze it, make sense of it, but you don't always express how you feel. You contain it, and that can create distance. The growth of white. You grow when you realize this. Everything don't have to be perfect to be good. You allowed to let things be a little messy sometimes. Control don't always equal peace. Sometimes letting go does. If white is your color, you ain't controlling. You intentional. You ain't too strict. You structured. And you not wrong for wanting things to make sense. You just learning that not everything in life will. Chapter 12. Yellow don't walk in quiet. It shine. It laugh loud, smile quick, crack a joke even when things a little off. It bring light into spaces that feel heavy without asking permission. Yellow is energy, but not the fast, impulsive kind. It's warmth. If yellow is your color, You the type that naturally lift people. You know how to make things feel lighter, even when they're not perfect. You don't always sit in heavy emotions, you shift them. Psychologically, yellow is tied to optimism bias, social reinforcement, and emotional masking. You regulate yourself by keeping things positive, keeping things moving, keeping things up. You don't ignore life. You just don't like staying in the dark parts too long. The light in yellow. At your best, you joy. You bring laughter, comfort, ease. You help people breathe again when things feel tight. You remind folks that everything ain't always as heavy as it seems. People feel good around you, not because life perfect, but because you make it feel manageable. You adaptable. You can walk into different spaces and adjust without losing yourself. And that light you carry, it's healing in ways people don't always say out loud. The shadow in yellow. But staying positive can turn into avoiding real feelings. Yellow can laugh things off that actually hurt. Brush things aside instead of dealing with them. Keep smiling even when something deeper need attention. You might tell yourself, it's not that serious, but sometimes it is. And when you don't face it, it don't go away. It just sit underneath all that light. Yellow in love. You love in a way that feels good. You bring fun, laughter, good energy into relationships. You don't like things feeling too heavy for too long. You want connection that feel easy. But sometimes you avoid hard conversations, not because you don't care, but because you don't want to mess up the vibe. You might keep things light when something deeper needs to be addressed. And over time, that can create distance without you even realizing it. Yellow compatibility, the three that balance your light. Yellow plus blue brings depth into your light. It helps you slow down and feel things fully. You help blue not get stuck in heavy emotions. Together, y'all balance each other if you don't avoid depth. Yellow plus orange. Orange matches your energy. Fun, excitement, laughter. Together, it feel good. But y'all gotta make sure it don't stay surface level. Yellow pink. Pink brings emotional connection into your lightness. You help pink not get overwhelmed, and pink helps you open emotionally. This can feel warm and balanced if you don't avoid real feelings. Yellow and money. You don't like stressing over money. You want it to feel easy. You might spend on things that make you feel good, experiences that bring joy, moments that create memories. But sometimes, you avoid looking too deep into finances, not because you're irresponsible, but because you don't like the pressure. When yellow is hurt, you don't always show it. You smile, you laugh, you act like it's okay, but underneath, you might be hurting more than people realize. You just don't like sitting in it. You grow when you realize this. Not everything needs to be light to be okay. You allowed to feel heavy things too. It don't take away your joy. It adds depth to it. If yellow is your color, you ain't fake happy. You intentional with your energy. You ain't avoiding life. You just choosing how you experience it. And you're not wrong for bringing light into the world. You just gotta remember, you deserve to feel it too, not just create it for everybody else. And that's the thing about color. It don't just show up, it forms. Somewhere in the quiet parts of life, where nobody's clapping, nobody's watching, nobody's asking if you're okay, that's where color really decides what it's gonna become. We like to think people are just this way or that way, but truth is, most of us are just responses to love, to loss, to pressure, to survival, to joy we didn't know how to keep. Black learned to protect, blue learned to feel everything at once. Brown learned to hold it down no matter what. Gold learned to chase what it's worth. Gray learned to pause before choosing pain. Green learned to grow even when nothing was certain. Orange learned to move before life got heavy. Pink learned to hold on when connection felt like air. Purple learned to search for meaning in everything. Red learned to react before getting hurt first. White learned to control what felt uncontrollable. Yellow learned to keep the light on, even in the dark. And maybe that's the real truth underneath all of it. Nobody is just a color. We are what life pressed into us and what we decided to become after. So now I gotta ask you something real simple, but real telling. What's your color? And what's your partner's color? Because the way those two move together might explain more than you think. If this hit you even a little bit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody. Let them see what color they might be too. And make sure you subscribe, because Colored by You is just getting started. New chapters and stories drop every Tuesday. Same colors, new truths, different reflections every time. And when you come back next week, pay attention, because sometimes the color you are isn't the color you thought you were at all.